Monday, June 19th, 2017 at 5 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good day, everybody. Before we start, I just want to do a public announcement to the Lions Club, who did a fantastic job this past Saturday with their 17th annual golf tournament, and all proceeds went to the Friends of Templeton veterans. We don't know what those proceeds are yet, but they did a great job and a great turnout, and the weather held off, and again, what a fantastic job the Lions Club did here at Templeton. So my hat's off to them. Town administrator position.
Yes. I move to instruct the town administrator to advise Ms. Dibbs that we will not be proceeding further with her candidacy, and to thank her for her time and interest in that position.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Do you want me to do?
Do one at a time?
What? Sure.
Sure.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion concerning Mrs. Dibbs? I see none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Cameron?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
I also make a motion to instruct the town administrator to prepare a memo for us on options as to how we may proceed, and to schedule a date within the next 2 weeks for us and anyone else that he may identify to discuss an alternative opportunity to fill the town administrator position.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? I see none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Cameron?
Yes.
Diane? I'm sorry, Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
I think Julie's.
Yes,
Julie
Julie
seconded.
seconded.
Julie seconded.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, my
Can't
fault.
really hear down.
I said Diane twice too.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I wasn't calling you that, just an accident. Okay, moving on to the potential open meeting law violation that was founded last week with multiple emails. Mr. Tenzini?
Yes, I put, we have 4 such complaints that have been forwarded to me in the last few days. I'll take them one by one if that's agreeable, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, absolutely, please do.
Attachment A is a complaint received on June 16, 2017. It was filed within the required time period, and it appears to be technically complete. The statute requires that I first forward them to you, or in this case, you, the chair, forward them to the body. It then allows you 14 days to meet to review the complaint. You then have 14 days to prepare a response. You may delegate the preparation of the response to others. In this case, I would suggest that we not take full advantage of all those timelines, but that I would respectfully ask your authorization to prepare a response, and hopefully I can get it done in time to have it on your agenda for Monday evening.
Okay.
Because there is a delegation in the statute, I would,
You require,
and we can go through attachment B as well, and then just do it with one motion, if
that'd be
that's
great.
agreeable.
Yep.
Attachment B is a complaint that was filed with you, Mr. Chairman, on June 16th. It does not appear to be technically complete. However, I've always thought it best to respond so that at least the debate isn't about whether or not you responded,
Understood.
whether or not it was complete, but at least we can get right to the merits of the complaint. Here again, I would respectfully suggest that you delegate to the Office of the Town Administrator the preparation of a response.
Yep.
I would likewise try to have this ready for your meeting of June 26th. And I would just deal with those two, because the other two are action items arising from a board member And I would defer conversation of those to the board member who sent them to me.
Certainly.
And then the board could make their determination if that's agreeable.
It is agreeable.
So that would be me.
So I'll need a motion for,
So I would make a motion to instruct the town administrator to prepare a response to Exhibit A and Exhibit B to be sent to us for our next meeting for review.
which is next Monday, okay, I have a,
Yeah, I think, I don't
that
see
make
any reason. If you could just say as soon as possible,
As soon as
because
possible.
I've got some other things this week, and I
Yes.
think I can get them done. But I would not want to be held to that if I
Okay.
can't.
okay, as
So
soon as
I'll amend
possible.
that to be as soon as possible.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion concerning Exhibit A and Exhibit B on the open complaints?
Am I allowed to?
I see none. Cameron?
Yes.
Diane?
Say anything?
Like
what I had
the chair
discussed
could
with
call
you.
for discussion, yeah, sure.
You're calling for discussion?
I did call for discussion.
Okay, so, I know that, Carter is going to prepare a response, but I just would like to say that these complaints are making it much more difficult to be able to work from one board, to another board. And it's, every time something happens, it's like, nailing the whole thing shut, no matter what we do. So it's not a criticism by any means, because everyone is allowed to file any complaint that they wish, but it's just, it's very dismaying and very alarming for me, not speaking for any of you, to make it sometimes to be able to execute a job that we should be doing when you're constantly, part of the open meeting law complaints, or that, there's just some downright, what's a good word? Nastiness that comes from one place to another, and that's really all. I was extremely upset most of the weekend, just really thinking about, I am that emotional person that I'm sometimes wish that I was not, and maybe others too, but it's like a personal attack. So no matter how many times you say, oh, can we do this, or oh, can we do that, it's just, it's sad.
Okay. What else happened today? Nothing? Well, as of you, Diane, over the course of the weekend, I didn't have a good weekend either. Again, trying to work towards the commonality, which I've always expressed, and open communication, and obviously at the dismay that has come forth, and potentially rightfully so, or not. We'll let the facts figure those out. But I would hope that if there is an issue, that the people have an obligation to do a complaint, but they also should have an obligation to come and file something in writing with the Board of Selectmen office, hopefully for us to correct those actions versus hearing about it on social media. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Again, Cameron?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well again. I don't know why I keep missing it. It must be the yellow shirt.
Maybe.
It must be the yellow shirt. Okay. We have minutes here. Are we supposed to be looking at these? Are these just for information purposes?
I would let Mr. Forts speak to them.
Oh, okay.
Exhibits C and D were
Yep.
submitted to me earlier today. And I await your disposition, but he did the prep, so I would suggest he's better positioned to speak to them.
Okay.
Certainly.
Go ahead.
So, with Exhibit C, I had noticed there was 4 members of the advisory committee participating in deliberation and discussion on a subject matter relative to their position. That happened on the, make sure I have this date correct, the 15th. A post by one Julie Farrell was regarding town policy and procedure. Jeff Bennett, Robert May, and Beverly Bartolomeo had also participated in the discussion, forming a 4-member quorum. There was no meeting minutes posted, no agenda, nothing to warn anyone of the discussion. I had posted on there that they were in violation, and I was met with further comments. The post that I had made was to let them know that this isn't something that should be done. I had contacted the Attorney General's office shortly after to make sure that this was a relevant violation, and the Attorney General said they get these types of complaints all the time due to the nature of social media and how it's very hard to avoid these sort of situations, which would be the first violation. The second violation or complaint would be Exhibit D, which was after I had posted my message to them. They had responded to the matter directly, which would be subject to the advisory committee's discussion, which should be held in public forum, with posted meeting minutes, agendas, and so on and so forth. Due to the nature of what they had done on the second violation, seemed to be negligent and intentional, as they totally disregarded my warning or my complaint initially. With that one actually spills over to 2 blogs. It was first originally posted on Julie Farrell's blog after several taunts and harassment, and that had spilled over onto Jeff Bennett's blog, in which he spoke about the matter openly. And there was further discussion by Beverly and Robert on that forum. Once again, this is deliberation of a matter that is relevant to their body and a violation of open meeting law. And once again, it seemed intentional and due to gross negligence. So I had, on the first one, requested that the advisory committee members found in violation to submit a formal apology to the citizens of Templeton, outlining their violation, their individual efforts to prevent further issue. Board of Selectmen, well, actually, with your recommendation, would also like to request the members attend a formal training by the Attorney General's office. They offer webinars and in-person trainings that would remediate these issues, and it would probably inform the advisory committee about social media laws. I also think that we should probably attend something like that as well. Like I said, it's a webinar. They usually host them, I think, every 3 months at like 5 o'clock, and it's a short 30-minute session. Due to the nature of the second one, I had suggested the resignation of Julie Farrell, Robert May, and Beverly Bartolomeo for their negligence and intentional violation of open meeting law. That is a serious offense to intentionally disregard open meeting law. And it is also based off the initial response of these 3 individuals for their gross negligence, their taunts, their harassment, and their threats in retaliation efforts. Jeff Bennett, I recommend he moderate his blog to avoid any further ethical concerns, as he did not participate in the taunts and the gross negligence of open meeting violation. However, he had discussed the issue and therefore allowed Beverly and Robert to participate in the discussion.
Thank you. Good report. Mr. Senzini, you have anything to add?
Mr. Chairman, it's always been unclear to some board members as to what they can and can't discuss, but I think it's pretty well settled in Massachusetts that if you're having any discussion outside of the public venue about a matter which comes before your board, that's out of bounds. Even what I've spoken with some of your members about, which they didn't understand initially, what is referred to as serial conversations. So if you happen to have a conversation with one member and then subsequently that member happens to have a conversation with another member,
Right.
and these need not be in-person conversations.
Understood.
A situation where only 2 board members may have spoken with each other, but by virtue of the chain, we've had 3 board members who have spoken with each other
About the same topic.
about the same topic. And you cannot discuss matters which come before your board in any way which leads to the formation of conclusions and formulates the decision-making process. It truly is, undercuts the public trust in the officials. So I leave to your body what you want to do, but if proven, yeah, these are unfortunate.
Diane?
Well, it's the same thing that I said previously, but I disagree about that Jeff Bennett be recommended to moderate his blog and that he was not part of harassment or threats or taunts, because there's a lovely post today or yesterday that basically calls each one of us out in a sly name-calling match, and they're not pretty, and it's uncalled for, and that's why I said I've personally never done that to anyone else. You have a problem with that, so I would not. Moderating a blog, okay, so what I said to Carter today too, in just kind of talking things out. If I yes, if hopefully you won't shut off.
on this.
If I'm commenting somewhere or we're out in public and we're speaking, it's nice. I think if people know who I am, or, you know, again, I will not speak for anyone else. So when I've commented on the blog to try to, you know, establish, you know, this might not be a correct statement, or I'm not speaking as a citizen. I'm speaking, I might not sign how you did, Cameron, you know, Selectmen Forts, but I can't have a conversation in public and people not think, oh, well, she's speaking as a selectman. It just kind of naturally comes. So if people share things with you that needs to be reported to something else, that's our job. If there's a violation that you know of, we can't just go, yeah, that's okay. It doesn't work like that. So we are speaking as a public official, and we should conduct ourselves accordingly. And it's just, it's out of control, in my opinion, and these are our lives as well, not just, you know, when you sit in this seat and you take that seriously, which I hope that we all do, it's a big responsibility. Are we perfect? I know I'm not. There's no way. We're always learning. We have to read this, and it's, you know, I don't retain all that information well, and I'm sure I'll hear about that too. But see what I'm saying? Every little thing that we say is misconstrued. You know, Mr. Markle had used the term superior board, but it's been taken completely out of context. It was to explain how the organization works. We did not use that term. I've never heard Mr. Kaplis or, you know, Julie or any of us use superior board. So we're called the Board of Fools, the Liars Club, the Lying Liars. It's just wrong. I mean, should we make up a name for the advisory committee or, you know, the planning board? Or that's just wrong, and it's extremely disrespectful on a personal and a business level, and I'm done with that. So I would not agree with that comment. I think that it should all be together. If you want to conduct yourself unprofessionally and you are a representative of a committee or a board, now as a board member, we have to be recalled. If people are not happy with what we're doing, please do so. That's the way that works. As far as a committee goes, I'm not sure. I guess we have to call for their resignation, but I don't really know how personally that would work. I've never even run across this type of issue before. So those are my thoughts, and I'm sad, and I mean that. I'm really sad that we take this, and it's a lot of work. We do it for free. We do it because we love it. We do it, and you're just constantly criticized and harassed, period.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
The criticism for me,
Yes, and what they said about you is terrible.
well, it's needed. It's absolutely needed in all full capacity. And not to call anybody out, but Mr. Will Spring, you criticize us, and it's productive. It's very productive criticism, what you have to say. And I have no desire to regulate freedom of speech. However, I want to say in official capacity, and as somebody who works with ethics and compliance for a job, there's rules and regulations in place for a reason. And to violate rules and regulations, especially in a government capacity, as a public body, as an official. It's disheartening, and it's disheartening that I had to bring this violation up and to see retaliation against me. But to see the negligent actions and the intentional violation to continue is why I call for the resignation of these members, is because the way they had handled these issues, the way they had handled the violation, is immature. It is lacking representation of Templeton. I think as appointed members, they should take themselves very seriously, and they should take this violation, which is a very serious offense, and learn from it. But instead, they chose these actions of harassment, personal attacks against me and the rest of the Board of Selectmen for even considering saying that they had violated anything. And I don't know about the rest of the Board of Selectmen, but I cannot, in good conscience, allow something like this to continue in Templeton, because it's not reflective of our community. We don't act like this as elected bodies or appointed bodies. And with Diane, I mean, if you recommend that we request resignation if found in violation of Jeffrey Bennett, I am for that.
Doug, you have anything to add?
You know, I mean, it is disheartening because we're trying to, you know, move the town forward. We're trying to do positive things. We may not always do things that everybody agrees with, but that's just the nature of the beast. And the fact that we're not all trying to work together, or don't appear, you know, by these, you know, I don't want to use the word nasty, degrading comments, you know, it is just disheartening, and, you know, it's definitely not appropriate, especially since the, you know, advisory committee members are representatives of the town. They're, you know, public bodies just like we are.
Right. Julie?
I agree with Doug. I think we should ask all of them for their resignations. I don't think it's necessary to bully people in our positions unnecessarily. I just, it's an insult. And it is very hurtful for some of us that love this town. And personally, I don't go on the blog because I know what's going on the blog. It's not worth reading for me. It's not, because it's just more frustration when we come in here to vote on anything big. So I try to avoid it altogether, but just reading what Diane gave me would want me to want to throw up. I mean, this is ridiculous. These are members of the community that are on a board. If it was any one of us, they'd be asking for a recall. If it was any one of us throwing out those type of names, those type of, you know, non-factual comments about each individual person on this board, it's an embarrassment to Templeton and their voters.
Well, it's embarrassing for me as well. And I always learned growing up, sometimes you don't like the people. Sometimes you don't like somebody. It just happens. But that's okay. But if they're in a position, you have to at least respect the position that they're in, that they hold. You don't have to like the person, but you at least have to respect the position that they hold. And that goes for anything from, you know, being a director of public works, to being a select person, to being an advisory committee member, or being on the school committee. You might not like somebody for whatever reason. They wear the wrong color shirt every day. Who knows? Personality conflicts happen, but you know, you always have to respect the person. I don't go on the blog either. I can't wait to see what they wrote up, what's written about me.
It's not very pleasant.
I mean, as far as for people that know me, and if people want to know me, they can definitely come and talk to me. I'll definitely hand out my resume myself if they like. My DD-214s that go back to 1990, and 24 years of faithful service to this country. So please, I would hope they would say something derogatory about me, and if they have, I would like to talk to that person, because that would be totally disrespectful for the services I provide to this country, where my blood has been spilt on other lands, not just here in the United States. So please believe me. Going forward, I want to take your recommendation, Cameron. I'm going to take that. I'm going to give it to the town administrator. We're going to look into it. And hopefully by next meeting, we can have an advisement on that. Is that correct, Mr. Tenzing? Is that okay with you?
Straight this real quick.
And then we can handle all three of these on potentially Monday, potentially, not to give you any more work to do, as soon as possible, not like today, or maybe if it's not next Monday, it might be the following meeting. But obviously, we have the 14 days, and obviously, we can concur with the, town council if we need to.
So I think I would make the same motion that I made previously for, to instruct the town administrator to prepare a response to the
That'll be a
Well,
complaint.
Cameron, may I ask if you would like a response to both exhibits? Because they're two separate.
Yes.
Okay,
They're
so
two-
perhaps you could
Well, he's the
discuss
he's-
with
he's the
Carter.
complainant.
I-
He's the
Right,
complainant.
so-
The board will be filing, not.
So
The board
the
is
response.
filing.
The board would have to file the
So the
complaint.
town administrator needs, so I think to have the town administrator draft
just
something and to discuss that with,
I suggest that
with,
these be
Cameron.
filed separately.
Okay.
And for the reasons of the first violation
Mhm.
is, does not show intent or
Right,
negligence.
okay.
And it shows that there was, genuine, I don't know if I want to say ignorance, but I will use that word, ignorance of the law.
Okay,
And then
so-
when it was pointed out, then they had violated a second time, which would show intent and gross
Okay.
negligence.
So I would are you asking for the
I'm
town
asking-
administrator to
Yes, I'm asking
prepare a
for the
response
board.
as written,
Yes, I am.
as both of them are written?
Um,
Or does that
pro-
matter to you right
provided
now?
grammatical revisions.
I'm sorry, Doug, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Or validate that,
Validate the
we don't
complaint.
need to put anything else in, or if we haven't missed anything.
And certainly I can look at that and determine whether that is best dealt locally or whether it should be forwarded to the AG's office, because, let me determine the best.
Okay, so
The
for
thing that I
Carter
was,
to prepare a response for us to review as soon as
I
possible?
would strike the as is, definitely with revisions for grammatical
Well,
errors and
can-
spelling.
I
the
think
thing that
Carter
I was
can
not
just
clear
discuss.
on in terms of sense of direction is on Exhibit D.
Yes.
I was getting the impression from Ms. Haley Brooks that she believed, she was asking you if you were open to adding the Mr. Bennett to the top three.
That's why I wasn't really
and
sure how
not,
to word the motion.
handling him separately.
Separately.
And I need to understand if that's the direction of the board as I review this.
If you want to take a roll call on that issue, Mr. Chairman, for striking the last sentence of that and adding Jeff Bennett into the list of resignations.
Is that your motion?
Yes, motion.
I have a
Second.
motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion second. Any other discussion concerning Mr. Bennett? I see none. Cameron?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane? Julie? Julie?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Poor John.
Doing it all night,
I'm having a bad
It just
day.
must
be
be
the
what's in
yellow
his
pages.
head, I
Oh.
don't know.
I'm sorry, Julie. I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
I think it's because,
least
it's
you're
usually
calling
like
me
Diane,
Diane,
Doug,
not
like
Doug.
you're at your swap seats, so.
Yeah, we're gonna move seats around a little bit.
Okay, so,
Okay,
there's that.
so.
So then I would make the motion to instruct the town administrator to prepare a response to Exhibit C and Exhibit D as soon as possible for the board's review.
I second that motion.
Okay. Motion say, any other discussion? I see none. Diane?
We're good.
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Cameron?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. All right, do we need to go into executive session?
Given your action under item
Oh,
3, I
I'm
do
sorry,
not see the
probably used
need
wrong word. I know what you're
for item 5, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. Do we have any other things to discuss at this time?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Any other board members have anything else to discuss at this time?
I don't.
Okay, I can have a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Have a second? Thank you for the second. Any other discussion? I see none. Cameron?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you all for coming.